All right, so I'm here with Stephanie. Stephanie's our guest for today's podcast, and I'm just going to let Stephanie introduce herself a little bit, tell us who she is, what she does.
So I'm Stephanie. I work in asset protection management at the moment. I started 3.5 years ago in private security and kind of just went from there. The background that I have does not pertain to security, it kind of just happened for me. And the move to asset protection was pretty natural in what I was doing, I guess.
Okay, that's awesome. Can you kind of explain a little bit what not asset protection, asset protection entails?
Yeah, so right now I work for a national company. So it's a lot of the compliance inside of the store, making sure that internal theft, external theft, and operational errors are caught, basically ensuring that everything makes sense when it comes to inventory and our losses versus our profits. A lot of the compliance too around certain items in the store. And making sure that all of the employees are on board with the programs that are established by the company to make sure that it remains secure.
That's awesome. That sounds like it's a lot.
Yeah, it's
Um,
the store's own personal police.
So do you guys like you're just plain clothes? Do you wear uniforms?
So
Do you have
for me, I wear a uniform. Most that would be in that type of role, though, like colleagues in the region, they are in plain clothes. So I have kind of that disadvantage where if you spot me in the store, you know that I'm on to you, right? Where others, if they wear plain clothes, they can just kind of disguise themselves. I don't have that privilege, but the reason why is because of, again, certain items that we carry into the store, right? It's more of a protection, not so much trying to stop the theft from
so it's
happening.
more to be like don't bother trying
Exactly.
rather than stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
Wow, have you guys seen a big increase in theft in the recent months with kind of everything that's going on with the economy and
I haven't been in the role long enough to see the increase, but I can say from when I started in security 3.5 years ago to now, there's definitely been an increase, not just in retail theft, but in every industry, right? Like
yeah.
we had all sorts of clients where they would call me and say, like, hey, we lost $500,000 in inventory in the last week. Like, we need security. So definitely an uprise.
Wow, that's crazy.
Hmm.
So when you're working and you're doing your asset protection and you're obviously in uniform and people know who you are, does that make a big difference, you think? Like just having that physical presence there?
It does for certain people. So, one part of the asset protection that I teach to newcomers to the job is really that there's three aspects of theft, right? Or to shrink is what we call it. So, shrink is the difference between what you have on your inventory versus what you actually physically can count and say, yes, I have this. So, when I teach about shrink, we teach operational shrink, external shrink, which would be theft or fraud from clients, and then internal shrink. And to see the impact done with the external, yes, for sure, right? You have people who are opportunistic. They will just go, hey, there's nobody around me watching me, I'll take it. They're not necessarily thieves who steal all the time. But then you have the ones that are professional who are in there like clockwork, right? So for those, it doesn't matter. They know they'll get away with it kind of deal, so it's a little bit more dangerous. But
So do you kind of have a way to tell if somebody's more of a opportunistic type of thief and the more like organized professional?
for sure, first of all, the organized and like professional ones, we see them repeatedly, right? So you know they exist, you know they're there. Like it's easy for me to go, oh, that person was here last month. It becomes a pattern. Whereas opportunistic, a lot of it, unfortunately, is young kids, right? Who are starting out.
Really?
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad. Like age, sex, demographic? Is it kind of like a varied population? Is there?
Unfortunately, it's a lot more males than females. Not to say that there's no females that steal. There definitely is. I have some cases on some that are repeated ones that I'm like, great, like you're back.
So happy to see you
Yeah.
again.
But definitely more males. I don't know their age. That's really hard to say, like what the average age is.
Okay.
Very
S-
varied.
Varied.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So when you have, like, let's say a male client,
hmm
um, that's got to be intimidating. Like,
Um, I mean, to some it probably
yeah.
is. To me, I think I've like gotten used. So even though I didn't work as a security guard, and I have on like some occasion for events and stuff like that, but I've never been a security guard like an overnight shift, sitting in my car watching a building. Like that's never happened. Um, I've still been in it for 3.5 years, right? So like I know the scenarios, I know how to kind of get myself out of something and how to answer them to just kind of stun them and be like, who is this chick, right?
What is happening?
Yeah, what does she want and why is she following me or whatever? So yeah, it can be intimidating. I think the worst part is, and this applies to both male and female, is do they have a weapon on them that I'm not aware of and that I can't search or know whether or not they have one? How do you know? And how do you know you're safe?
Yeah, that's so when you do apprehend somebody, I assume it's handed over to the local RCMP
Yeah, I'm not
detachment
allowed to
and
apprehend. So that's the thing,
right.
right? So I'm not allowed to stop anybody really in the store. I call the police if I have everything that I need to do it. But other than that, I can't really, I wouldn't be able to detain somebody there.
Oh, that would be so frustrating to watch the same people
Yeah.
and keep calling and
We
calling and
we have
calling.
methods.
Yeah. Oh.
But it's a stage, right? Like when you're working, you don't want to create chaos and like a bad environment for the rest of the customers.
No,
So that's what we try to do, manage it in a way that it's not going to bother anybody else or that they're not going to be affected by whatever is happening beside them.
that's that's interesting. So what's the number one tell that you're like, this guy's he's or she's about to pull some shady stuff?
Oh, other than their face, it's really hard to know. There's some people like one part of my job is to do an orientation training with all the new people, like I was saying earlier. And one big part that I focus on is like you can't tell by somebody's appearance. I've had some people walk in the store before and I'm like, for sure they're stealing. For sure. And guy proceeded to buy like $1,200 worth of stuff like that. And it's like, oh, okay, you surprised me. But then on the flip side, you're like, that person will never steal. And suddenly you're like, she's gone with $715 worth of stuff, right? So it's hard. The things I watch for, of course, are the things that probably everyone watch for. Backpacks. If it's 36 degrees and you're wearing a winter coat, why? Right? Like it's kind of those things that we watch for, and that I watch for when in the store.
Wow.
I say we because we have some people in the store watching for that stuff too that relays the information to me. But yeah, that's definitely what we're on the lookout for.
That's wild.
hmm
And I know, like, I know you've done private security
Yeah.
as well in the past. Um, I just know from our experience, it's definitely a service that's needed, and we're seeing more and more people who need these services. So, what would you say is the benefit of having a company as opposed to having a camera?
Cameras are always after the fact, right? You're going to capture what happened, and if you're lucky, you may have a system that will automatically alert you that something is happening, so you can answer. But then, what are you going to do, right? Like you might live 25 minutes away from where your business or whatever your cameras are. That's hard. Um, Private security on the flip side. they are there, they're present, especially if you book them as a static services rather than like a mobile patrol where they just come by every so often. It's a deterrent more than anything. A lot of the clients, they didn't necessarily want the security guard to do anything if they saw anything. They wanted the documentation. Try to take a license plate. What was the car's make and model? One thing that I think a lot of people forget is the cost of camera equipment, because you
Yeah.
surely seen like photos online of like gas thief or whatever, and they're like, we're trying to identify this person, and you can't even see their eyes.
You can't see anything. It's just like grained out
Right.
and
And people
yeah.
complain, like, with all the technology, why do you not have better cameras? Because they're very expensive. Like, swapping out an entire
Yeah.
camera system for business can run anywhere from ten to $70,000, right?
Whoa.
So, if I was to change all of the ones where I work right now, it would probably be 120 grand to do everything.
Wow.
So,
That's
it's
crazy.
right. You don't just change cameras because suddenly you don't have the best quality on the market.
And especially like nighttime cameras,
Yes.
they're
Like,
never
the
good.
small businesses, they can't afford these
No.
things. So I think having the private security, then you have that peace of mind that at least somebody's there or somebody's watching, right? So I think a lot of people are moving towards that, but we're still in a culture here in Moncton, unfortunately, that I'm not the one who should pay for that, right? The business owner feels like they shouldn't be paying.
Yeah, even though it's their assets that are being protected, they're like, this
Yes.
is, and I think there's a lot of frustration just given kind of the current situations that we're kind of facing
Yep.
in our general area. Here's the cat. Here's the first cat cameo of the it's always the same cat. This is Smudge. It's
Hello.
always her. She's the problem child. She thinks she's a star.
She's like, I'm part of this conversation. Let me have my moment.
So what prompted you to go into kind of this field of work? Was it like did you study anything? Did you
Yeah, so
okay.
long when I came out of high school, I actually took a 911 dispatching course,
Ooh,
which I went to Ambulance New Brunswick, did the full training, but I was 18 at the time, never really had a job. So I stayed 3 days on the floor and I was like, this is not for me. Like, I need to gain life experience
wow.
to do this type of job. I never returned to that. I did multiple other types of jobs. And then during COVID, I quit my job at the hospital. I went to university for a year, and that was not for me either. And I just applied for a security company that was looking for a dispatcher, and I was like, well, I have dispatch experience, so I kind of just made my way up in that company. Eventually, I went to manage that company. So it was kind of full circle to what I studied in school, just not
Just
as
different.
an emergency based role.
Wow, that's I can't imagine that doing that role. Like it seems so terrifying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially when you're 18 and you've never lived anything, right? Like, what do you mean I have to deal with someone dying on the other?
Oh my God. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Um, so in your industry, what are kind of the things that really benefit from having a woman in that position, in that role? Like what do you think are the benefits?
I think a lot of I might hurt some people saying this. I think a lot of the men in the security industry are very ego driven men, right? A lot of them are either ex military, police officers, or people who trained to be police who never had it happen. Um, and they run the business and the job with that, right? It's
Okay.
like more of a I'm tough, you're not, and let's make this happen.
Okay.
Whereas I'm very analytical, and I think most women are. And I analyze, like, okay, I'm sending some guards there. What's the issues? What's the dangers? We analyze a lot more. So I think when for both security companies that I work with, I think that's what I brought forward most was the procedures, the steps, how to keep our staff safe, how to keep the public around safe. Whereas I don't think anyone had ever thought of that before. It was
Just
just like,
like,
you need guards? Sure, here's 30, right?
yeah.
Like, very, automated.
And are there a lot of women that are working in this industry now?
In roles like mine, no. Not
Okay.
that I know of. There's some, don't get me wrong. There's definitely a few for like Paladin Security, for example. It was a woman who was the executive director
Okay.
for a while. I don't know who it is now. She has since left that role. So obviously there are some women, but it's mostly men, for sure.
Okay. And when you're working in the field, I know you haven't done a lot of the like
Hmm.
being out in there, but what you've witnessed, do they work well? Like the men and women work well together? Like, is there a good partnership there, or
With the guards, absolutely. I think the men kind of get protective of the women, so it
okay?
works out well, even though most of them do not need it. I can tell you that. I would not mess with these girls. But there's that sense of they know that the job that they're doing is dangerous or could become dangerous very easily. Um, so between men and women, they help each other a lot. I've never seen like a whole disrespect of women who are in the industry. It's so that's a good thing. Um, even I've seen little tiny girls. They're like 5 foot nothing and like
And they're the scariest ones.
yeah, they barely weigh 100 pound and nothing. I've never heard of like someone going like she can't do the job. It's more like can she even lift that vest?
Surprise, she can lift them and the vest and
Yeah,
her. Like that's always
exactly.
how it works.
Yep.
Yeah, that's always how it works. So what do you think keeps women from going into roles like this, and how can we encourage them to, step into it?
I think a lot of women are scared of what could happen, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're, as women, we want to nurture everything, and security is the opposite. You don't want to nurture, you want to deal with problems. So I think it's like against how women function,
Yeah, maybe
right?
like a little counterintuitive.
Right, to be that woman who says no, you're not doing this or you're not going there. Like for me, I worked event security, right? And you have some guys who are like, I am bringing my beer there, and it's like, no, you can't. And they are like, what are you gonna do? And they almost try to intimidate you because you're a woman, but then it's like, i I'm still the security. It doesn't mean anything, right? Like,
Sir, sit down. You cannot come in here with
yeah.
your beverage. Like, you have to pay $12 for a beer like the rest of us.
Yep.
We're not special. You're not
Exactly.
special
No.
here.
So it's interesting.
Yeah,
For
it
sure.
would be.
Mm.
It would be. And like, I know I've never worked in security, but I feel like I would be a little bit anxious. Like, especially interactions with people who are, about to do something illegal,
Hmm.
and you're stepping in and being like, no, you can't do this. Like I feel like I would be very anxious as to how they're going to respond, because they're going to respond one of two ways. They're going to fight or flight,
Oh,
right?
for
Like
sure. Like a man much taller and bigger than me a few weeks ago literally looked at me in the eyes and went, I do not like the way you're treating me. And my answer on the spot was, how am I treating you?
I do not like that you're stealing from me, but okay, it's your
Exactly,
feelings that
right.
matter in this.
So for like, I think especially right now, I think a lot of the people that we're encountering, and not just me, like anybody who's in those types of roles, a lot of people we're encountering, unfortunately, are under the influence of some substance.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So they're
that,
unpredictable.
yes, so it could be a very fun interaction, or
Could
it
be
could be
hilarious.
horrible,
Yeah.
right? I tried to just go in thinking that anybody's going to treat me normally,
Okay.
and I try to treat them as normally as possible. And I think that's kind of the trick, right? It's the same thing as if you're in customer service and somebody starts yelling at you. How do you
You
react to
can't yell
that?
back. Yeah. As much as you want to. Like,
Yeah. What do you
no,
mean?
you can't yell back. We've learned that lesson. There's
Yeah.
no yelling. That's That's incredible. And I think like I've known you for a couple of years now and
Yeah.
kind of heard anecdotes of what you do. And I'm always just like, how does she do that? Like, how does she do it?
I think for me, a big part is like what I've lived personally in my life kind of allowed me to just do it. I don't have like I'm not going into something going this is going to be the worst interaction of my life. I think those are behind me. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're just going to go do this.
On a scale of 1 to 10, this is like the least worst reaction I'm going to have today.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
pretty much. So and I know I have a lot of backup, especially in my store. Like, I know if something were to go down, there's definitely people in there that's going to jump to intervene, right? It's not I'm not alone, even though I am alone doing my role. So that's a peace of mind, definitely.
So have you had somebody become violent, and kind of when that happens, when it escalates to that point, is there a certain procedure that you're just like, I'm done engaging, I'm stepping
Yeah,
back?
a lot of it we stop engaging as soon as they start raising their voice.
Okay.
Depending on the context, I guess it's just if there's nobody around and I'm not gonna create chaos, maybe I would engage a little further just to try to discourage them from either doing it right then and there or doing it again.
Okay.
Um, but no, I haven't had anybody become like extremely violently uh, like abusive. I want to say
Okay.
like no words, no physical actions were ever taken against me.
So do you have like a crisis management training that you've done?
No.
What? That's wild.
No. So I have not. I don't feel the need to. A
Okay.
lot of people do, which is perfectly fine, like depending on what you've been dealt in life, right? But I have not. So I've dealt with a lot of crisis again on my life, so I know how to handle it. My 911 dispatching course to kind of help to know how to de-escalate someone
Okay.
naturally,
Yeah.
because obviously when you call 911, most of the time you're pretty
You're
agitated. There's something going on in your life, right? So um and I have a course in investigative interviewing that also helped, although I'm not actively interviewing someone. I know how to make them stop, right?
okay.
Kind of neutralize them.
Because like when I in my previous life when I worked at the group home, we had to do
Yeah.
like escalation management and
Yes.
how to de-escalate a person.
I should probably
And
take
I
that course.
like literally use it every single day of my life. Like
Yes. You can,
personally, professionally,
yeah,
whatever.
you
Like
can absolutely
yeah.
apply it, right?
Yes,
Mm,
absolutely.
yeah.
Because not everybody who comes in to look at a car is super happy. So
No.
like it
I
happens.
don't know why, but
People have bad days
yeah.
and yeah.
You don't
So
shop for something expensive on bad days.
I
But
think
that's
some
just
people
me.
just every day is a bad day. I don't know.
True.
Like they've had a shitty life, so they like take it out on the customer service person who's
Yep.
helping them.
Yep. That
But
happens all the
yeah,
time.
it's crazy. It's crazy. So like I know you've done the management side of it
hmm
as well. How was that for you? Like what did you bring to the role? What did you think of the role?
So I did it on two different occasions, two different companies. For sure, one was very different than the other. The first company, I was kind of handed the reins and go. I later found out a lot of stuff that pushed the company to close. So I want to say that in that one, I learned a lot more about the operational, like, or yeah, the operational side, right? The how to budgetize the stuff, how these companies are making money, what the cost behind it is, which if you even think about it, private security companies have major costs because they have like 10 cars, 12 cars,
Well,
to
cars,
run.
people,
Yeah,
like insurance, I imagine insurance is through the roof.
through the roof. And there's no regulations in New Brunswick for security guards, so little history on that. New Brunswick hasn't changed the laws on security guards and like the whole aspect of private security since 1962.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's very, very outdated laws. There's not much that goes behind being a security guard. There's no formal training. There's no requirements. You need to be 19, have a cleared background check, and send in $100 to the Minister of Finance to have your security guard license.
What?
Right.
Like, I
So
mean, for some people that wouldn't be an issue. Like there are some people who I imagine are just like very good. But I mean, I know some people who have been in the security field and I'm just like,
how did you make it there?
like,
Yes.
oh,
And in Ontario, for example, if tomorrow morning you're like, I want to be a security guard, you can go to whatever their DMV, like SNB, is and apply for one. You do not need to be attached to an agency. So in New Brunswick, you need to be attached to an agency. That's the
okay,
only good thing we got going for us, is that you need to be hired by a company before you can actually get your license. And then if you work
okay.
for another company, that company also applies for your license. So
So the license belongs to the company and not so much the
yes,
individual
right.
here.
So, and in order to be an agency, you need to meet certain criterias, which are not very hard. Again, they don't need formal training, they don't need any background in security. So, for a province that is going worse and worse, we are not tightening up those rules or laws quick enough.
Okay. So,
So, there was an amendment done in, I want to say, 2024, for security guards to finally be allowed to carry batons and handcuffs.
so you guys couldn't carry anything before?
Nope, a pen and a paper was basically it. Even a flashlight was kind of prohibited because it could be used as a weapon.
I'm
They
thinking
allowed
like
it though, but like
I'm thinking I'm going out with bear mace and like a taser.
yeah.
That would be my minimum requirement.
Right. So
Like,
you'd think they'd have at least some form of defense, but they don't. So unless they personally know self-defense, there's not much that they can do. There's not much power that they have. So in 2024, that was amended. But as far as I know, and it might have changed in the few months that I've left the private security field, no agency in New Brunswick had moved forward to have the license to carry batons and handcuffs because it brings such a liability to the companies.
and the insurance.
Yes.
And and I mean, honestly, there's so much out there now that I'm just imagining this poor person who has no training, has no formal education in
Right.
this, going, trying to stop somebody and using this weapon and then being just having the pantsuit off of them and being crucified on
Every media outlet
yeah,
out there, right? So the only thing that is a bit different is for the license to carry batons and handcuffs, you do need to have some training. So there's at least that. But again, it's a liability. It's if you get your baton out, you hit someone the wrong way and you paralyze them or they die, who's going to be looked at?
yeah, you. It's always
Mm-hmm.
you.
It's
Like,
always
it's
whoever's
always you.
managing it, right?
Yeah.
So no one wants to dare move
Yeah.
forward with it.
And it
It's
makes sense.
mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I don't know that I would, like, as a person, I would want those things, but the responsibility and the issues that would come along with
Yeah.
having them seem so terrifying. Like,
And it's one thing that I always reminded my staff is like, don't forget that your security uniform, when it says security on your front, on your back, you look like a cop. You are automatically putting a target on yourself, right? So
absolutely.
suddenly you start carrying something to restrain people, handcuffs, and then a weapon. That target just doubled in size. You're no longer just a security guard who's annoying and asks you to leave a premise. Now you are someone who is armed and can cause physical damage to someone if you want to.
And that's going to escalate the person.
Yeah.
Like, it's just natural to
I
escalate.
I delved a lot in like the technologies that helps for those things. So there's a body cam that exists that has a holster for the baton. So when you whip out the baton, security camera turns on automatically, the person managing the security camera is the only one that can actually turn it off distance. And it records the entire interaction until the baton is replaced in the holster,
Wow. That,
which
God
you're like,
love
oh my God,
technology.
let's do this. Except body cams are prohibited.
Really? You can't have a body cam?
No.
Like with all of the things that we can do with recording and
Yeah. Even police officers have a hard time getting body cams approved. It
that's
is only
so
starting now.
shocking
Yeah.
because like just from my world in car sales, like everybody should have a dash camera.
Yep.
I don't care if you drive a $500 car,
Mm-hmm.
you need to have a dash
Yep.
camera to protect yourself. And like I can't even imagine.
So it's a game of he said, she said all the time.
Always,
Yeah.
always. And
Mm-hmm.
like I can't imagine anybody being like, no, actually, you can't have body camera on
Right.
you. You can't protect yourself. We're going to send you to court with absolutely zero
Zero evidence.
evidence.
Yep.
And, but you can only win if you have evidence. So
How do you
that's,
manage that? How do you navigate that? So I know there's a few people in the province, and I know them personally. I've had conversations with these people about changing or trying to push the Minister of Public Health and Safety to amend the laws, to change it, and to better protect the staff. But it's not happening. And even when I worked as a dispatcher, I had an incident where I won't go too much in details because it's quite the story, but I had an incident where I lost one of my security guards on the wharf for 45 minutes. She was non responsive, and the last message I got from her was that someone threatened to kill her. So I'm 45 minutes, no contact. The police answer the call, and they think they're being ambushed. They think it's a setup, and they're very hesitant to move forward with looking for her. And they finally found her on the rocks. So this goes back to the licensing piece. They found her on the rocks and unconscious, brought her to the hospital, and my spidey senses were telling me that this was all made up, and it was. So she lied to the police, and she was able to keep a security guard license with another agency, which is crazy to me because you lied under oath to the police.
she should be in jail. Like, can you imagine? I can't imagine being the dispatcher who's like so concerned for this woman's safety and like panicking and then finding out like
It was all a
it's
lie.
all a lie.
Yeah. So I had to call
Oh
her mom
my God.
mid like in the middle of the night to tell her her poor daughter's gone on her way to the hospital. We don't know what's wrong with her. The last thing I heard from the police was we don't know if she's going to make it. And like I went through those motions,
I
right?
wasn't even there. And I'm like,
Yeah. So and this person's allowed to continue in this field. So there needs to be a change at the provincial level for sure for all security aspects. Like I know now I'm not so much into that world, but it needs to change. There needs to be some kind of way forward to protect people because
yes.
Ontario's seen shooting of security guards. Alberta has seen shootings of security guards, and they're almost always fatal.
So I know like at the dealership level, there's a lot more theft now.
Mm-hmm.
Like people, I think last week I heard that a dealership in this province, they attempted to steal 5 cars. Like, right. So we're seeing more and more dealerships that have
Yeah.
security officers, and that's not a $20 t-shirt.
No,
Like
and
that's
it's
a
something.
50, $60,000 vehicle. And if they're desperate enough to try and take that, how desperate are they when the poor security guard is like, excuse me, could you not? Like,
Yes.
you're making my evening very, very bad.
Yes, and they don't care, right? They don't care whatever it's for, whether and I'm going to go into the stereotypical stuff like whether it's to afford the next fix or whether it's to feed their children
Yeah.
or like we don't know what the situation is, but they're desperate and it shows, right? Like just in the behavior and what they're doing.
Yeah.
And I think it's something like I said earlier, people are not ready yet to say, like, I assume the full responsibility of paying for security for my business. And when you open a business, that's the last thing you think of.
Yeah.
Who opens a business is like, security, check. You don't think of that because when you open a business, it's happy, right?
Yeah.
Like you are like, oh my God, I'm making something, a dream probably come
I'm doing
true, right?
something. Yeah. Wow.
Security is not the thing that you think of. You
No.
don't think that you're going to get broken into.
And we're
Why?
all kind of delusional. Like, we're just like, no, nothing bad will happen. Like, I know us, like, we're in a pretty
Mm-hmm.
private space in the city, and we had our truck stolen
Yep.
out of our driveway. And like, once that illusion is shattered, it's shattered.
You understand.
Like,
Yeah.
that everything is locked here now.
Yeah.
Everything.
And
And
it
I,
makes you think twice, right?
oh my
You're
God.
like, oh my God, I am not as safe as I thought I was.
And yeah, and
Yeah.
like for a business to experience it over and over and over and over again, um, that's mind-boggling to me.
And thieves have ways of doing things that they know they won't get caught. Like, not where I work, but there's another retailer in the city who is experiencing a lot of theft, and people are just literally taking a shopping cart full and walking out.
Just like,
Yeah, I'm okay. I'll go to jail for about 5 hours while they process my paperwork, and I'll be out again with my kids for dinner, right?
yeah, yeah,
So that's the worst case scenario. That's the worst part, right? The best case scenario is they don't bother calling the cops. I get home and I get to feed my children for another week.
that must be really hard when you're like working that and you know it's, I mean, it's one thing if you're being kind of just a crap human, but it's another thing when you're seeing somebody who's driven to these measures out of
Yeah,
hunger or out of a need for a
absolutely.
child. And I'm like, I can't imagine, because either way, like, you have to report it. It's not like you can be like,
Yeah.
okay, so you look sad and depressed, so I'm not gonna call the police on
Yeah.
you. But is there a different protocol when you know it's like desperation and not?
Well, for us, because we don't like sell
Yeah,
necessities
I
like
guess it's a
that,
little
it's a
bit
bit
different.
different. For me, I'm like, there's nothing in here that you desperately need,
There's no
right?
milk and eggs,
No.
like. No.
Um, I don't know how those retailers operate, to be honest, because yeah, there is that sense of like human sympathy and empathy,
Yeah,
right? Where you're like, I feel you. Like, if you, especially, and this is the hard one, is like asset protection is not just asset protection. There's not one person that helps. It's everybody on the floor, right? So whether you're a cashier or you're a stalker or a greeter, everybody has their part to play in it. And the person who's at cash, who's making minimum wage, they're also in that struggle,
yeah.
right? Like many of them are working two, three jobs and they can't afford to survive almost. So, who are they to tell a mom who is clearly seeking to just feed her children and stealing when they themselves have a hard time, right? So a lot of people kind of just want to turn a blind eye. And
Yeah.
it's sad. Like for me, it's not really the case in our store, but I know for other places like Sobeys and Superstore and Walmart even, those type of places where they have the hot commodities that you need.
I was so surprised. We did a charity thing with the dealership a couple of Christmases ago, and I went to get baby formula because that's what we were doing. We were buying like
Mm,
$3,000 worth of baby formula to donate it to food banks and
yeah.
Crossroads and all of that stuff. It's locked behind glass.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is the formula locked behind glass? And they're like, because if we don't lock it, it's stolen.
Mhm.
And I was like, what a sad thing. Like,
Yeah.
what a sad thing to be stealing.
And it's a necessity.
Yeah.
Like otherwise you're your baby's not getting fed,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's extremely sad to think about it in those ways for sure. And I feel for these people, right? Like I'm still human, I still have a heart.
You're not the Grinch. What?
but but at the same time, like when I'm at work, it's this is my job and I need to do it, and I need to do it the best that I can to protect the store. But at the same time, it's not like I don't feel bad, because at the end of the day, there's very minimal people who are stealing just to steal, right? Just to get
Yeah.
that rush.
It's
It's rare. This is medical condition we're talking about. It's rare. Um so you know that if they're stealing, there must be a root cause.
There's a reason.
Yes, of course.
So, what do you think that this area can do to encourage more women to, maybe explore it as an option, whether in dispatch or guarding or,
I think it's this might sound weird. It's women just need to decide to do it,
yeah,
right? Like it's not a job that it's as scary as it may seem. Like even though we don't necessarily have all the tools that a police officer has, there's nobody, or you hope anyways, that there's nobody that's gonna attack you or hurt you in a public place where multiple other people are watching,
yeah, it's
right?
like I know the things that I've watched and seen and read about have been mostly like night, lone,
Yeah.
like that seems to be if something bad's going to happen, that's kind of when it's going to happen.
Yeah, and like there is a guard that got shot in Moncton not long ago. So
Oh,
it's happening. We can't deny it. It's getting more dangerous, and I think for women, it's remembering that you're not more a target because you're a woman than if it was a man. If the person's going to attack, they're going to attack whoever it is. But to release that stress, a lot of the job is psychological. If you
yeah,
know how to talk to someone and bring down someone to a level of understanding and respect where they go, okay, yeah, I won't do this act, or I won't steal, whatever it is they're doing, because not all of it is stealing. Some is vandalism or
yeah.
just pure hatred towards something, right? Women need just to realize that they're as powerful as a man, if not more. We understand things a different way and we know how to calm people down.
And I think it comes better from a female sometimes. Just because naturally we have that nurturing
Yeah.
compassion and people kind of expect that, whereas a man, they're really expecting to be met with aggression.
Yes. And like I
um,
said, the men in security usually are driven by ego.
well, like, I mean, not to be stereotypical, but like Paul Blart Mall Cop, like that's what
Yeah,
most people
right.
think of
Yep.
when you think of security
Yep.
and kind of that asset protection. But it's really like I know a few people who have done the job, and it's much different than that. Like,
Very.
um, and the people who I do know, they have um, been in different roles like corrections and
Yep.
policing and all that. So,
And a lot of it too is like we need to realize that yes, security is there as a deterrence, is there to handle certain situation, but a lot of it too is documentation. Documentation
so
is
much.
the most important part because it's what makes court cases admissible
Yeah,
versus not, right?
yeah,
So that's a lot of the job, and being able to write a proper report so that it is admissible in court
crazy.
for your clients.
All right, so we have gone well over our time limit, and I could still ask you more questions about this because I'm so curious. It's so fascinating. Um, but thank you so much for coming on,
Thank you for having me.
and I'm so excited. And we'll get this on Tuesday,
Perfect.
and we'll go from there.
Awesome.
Thanks, Steph.
Thank you.